This is my great-grandfather. Grandpa, could you state for recording what war and branch of service you served in?
United States Army Air Corps.
What was your rank?
I was a corporal.
Where did you serve?
Various places in the States. Finally went to Iceland.
How many years were you in the service?
Basically 3 years.
So you served in the USA Air Corps?
Yes.
Where were you living at the time?
Wabash, Indiana.
How did you happen to serve in this war?
I got a card from the United States government saying I had been selected to join the United States Army.
What were you doing before you were drafted or enlisted?
Driving an oil truck, delivering fuel to farmers.
Did anyone else in your family serve in the military?
My kid brother.
Can you tell me about the military life?
Well, it was very different from civilian life. You always were being told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And if you didn't do it, then you'd get extra duty for not doing what you were told.
What was the food like? What was the social life like? What were the barracks like?
Well, there wasn't much social life. There wasn't very much social life. They did have some entertainers come in once in a while to put on a program for you, and they had what they call company parties, but there was not much social life.
How did you choose the branch of service?
When I was going through induction, they said if I didn't want to be in the Air Corps, then I would not have to be. But if I had to be in the service, I wanted to be in the Air Corps. So I felt fortunate.
What kind of training did you have?
First went to Miami Beach, Florida to do the basic training, which was learning to do what they told you to do. While down there and waiting for technical school to open up, I also became a drilled instructor. So it went from being instructed about how to march, I taught how to march for 2 months.
Did you make any lifetime friends when you served?
There was 3 or 4 fellows and I that were really, really close friends, and we stayed in contact, but they're all deceased now. I'm the only one still alive.
What were your duties or actions away from the front line?
Well, I never was close to the front line because there was no fighting going on in Iceland. It was a refueling base for airplanes going from the States over to the war zone. My duties over there was driving an oil truck. They didn't have mechanics over there to work on engines. So I drove an oil truck in the service just like I did in civilian life.
How did you stay in touch with your loved ones back home?
Letters. No emails and no cell phones and things like that back then. And it'd take sometimes from 10 days to 2 weeks to get a letter back and forth.
What did you do for recreation or when you were off duty?
Basically played cards. That's about all they had to do at night.
What kind of cards?
Once in a while we played euchre, but mostly it was poker or can't think of the name of the other one. Mostly poker, but there was another one that I played a lot of it. I can't think of what it was.
Were you still overseas when the war ended?
No, I was back in the States. I had done my tour of duty.
How did you return
question, the way I came home from Iceland, I left Iceland on a small boat and went to Greenock, Scotland. Sat in the harbor of Greenock, Scotland on the boat for 3 days, waiting for a ship to come to bring us from Greenock, Scotland to New York. And on the third day, the Queen Mary showed up in the dock over there, and they transported us then to the Queen Mary, which was a very, very, very big, very, very nice ship. And for 3 days, we fellows who were able had the top 3 decks of the Queen Mary had been converted into a hospital ship. So we had to carry wounded soldiers from the boats that they brought them out to up into the part of the ship that was a hospital ship. We did that for 3 days, and finally we set out for home.
How hard was it to return to normal life?
It's kind of tough, really, because at that time I was married and had a 14-month-old daughter that I had never seen. So it was a lot of adjustment coming home to a family that did not have when I left.
Are you a member on any veterans organization?
Yes, American Legion.
Do you have any contact with fellow veterans?
Not anymore.
How was being the military affected your life?
Probably made me more stubborn. A little hard to get along with at times.
What kind of life lessons did you learn?
Well, I learned that you can't always have everything your way. That sometimes you just have to do what you're told to do, whether you want to do it or not.
Do you have any stories you would like to share?
Well, there's several stories I could tell, but I guess one of the stories that just literally almost scared you to death. When I was in Iceland, there was a road that went directly off the end of a runway, and they had aircraft up there known as a P-51, and a lot of the young pilots would like to get behind you as you were going down the road. If they fly up from behind you, they would come down right close to the top of you and then just go right straight up. And you would just roar, you wouldn't know there was anywhere around until they was right over you and scare you to death.
Do you have something you would like to show us?
Oh, I still have my cap that I wore, my dress cap. All the other stuff, all my uniform and everything got eaten up with moths. I brought it home, but it didn't last very long.
Would you like to put it on?
If you want.
Thank you for giving me your time to interview you and for saving our country. I love you, Grandpa.
Thank you very much.